There is a stillness within you, older than your name, deeper than your thoughts, untouched by circumstance. In the noise of the world you may forget it. In the rush of desire and fear you may lose sight of it, but it has never left you. It waits patiently behind every breath you've ever taken. Life does not promise peace, it promises change. Sudden turns, unexpected storms, words that hurt, loss that breaks, moments that bring you to your knees. But the Buddha did not offer escape. He offered a way to meet life as it is, with clarity, compassion, and calm. This is not calm that depends on everything going your way. This is not the shallow peace of avoidance. This is a strength rooted in wisdom, in seeing clearly, in letting go, in walking with intention and grace through both joy and sorrow. In this journey, you will discover 10 timeless principles, not doctrines, not rules, but invitations. Each one a torch in the dark, each one a mirror, reflecting your own untapped resilience. You don't need to chase calm, you need only remember it, and in remembering you awaken. Number 1. Awareness is your refuge. In the rush of modern life, in the spinning wheel of desires, ambitions, fears, and judgments, there is one power that can bring everything to a halt, not through force, but through awakening. That power is awareness. The Buddha did not offer awareness as a technique, nor as a passing state of mind. He revealed it as the ground of being itself. Deeper than thoughts, quieter than emotion, purer than desire. Awareness is the light by which all things are seen, and the space in which all things arise. It is not something you create. It is what you are, when you stop trying to be anything else. When the world shakes you, when your peace is stolen by a word, a rejection, a sudden change, pause. Do not run. Do not react. Instead, return. Return to the stillness behind your breath. Return to the watcher within you, who sees the fear, but is not afraid, who sees the anger, but is not angry. This is not escape. This is the supreme courage of the path. To sit still in the fire of your own mind and remain unmoved. To see clearly without grasping, without judging, without fleeing. For what you see clearly you are no longer controlled by. A thought arises. I am not enough. Let it arise. Let it pass. Do not feed it. Do not fight it. Just witness it. A wave on the surface of a deep, calm ocean. You are that ocean, and no wave, however large, can touch your depth. A memory returns. A sorrow sharpens. A desire claws at the door. You do not push them away. You let them be. And by letting them be, they begin to dissolve. Awareness, like sunlight, has no need to fight darkness. It simply shines. The Buddha taught that suffering begins not with what is, but with how we relate to what is. A thought is not suffering, but believing it, attaching to it, becoming it, that is suffering. When you cultivate awareness, you create space between the spark and the flame, between the pain and the reaction, between the moment and the meaning you give it. This space is liberation. When you are aware, truly aware, even the most ordinary action becomes sacred. Washing your hands, drinking your tea, listening to the wind. You are not distracted. You are not lost in the past or leaning toward the future. You are here, entirely, and that presence transforms everything it touches. You may say, but I cannot stay aware all the time, and that is true for now. The mind will wander. That is its nature. But each time you return, gently, patiently, without shame, you are practicing the path of awakening. Awareness is not perfection, it is return. Return to this breath, return to this step, return to this moment, again and again. Like waves returning to the shore, each return is a victory. Each return is a remembering of who you truly are beneath the noise. Awareness does not resist, it allows, it embraces all things without preference, pain and joy, praise and blame, success and failure. Awareness watches them all and remains untouched, like the sky watching clouds come and go. You may lose yourself in anger. That's all right. Just notice it. You may be swept away by fear. That's all right. Just come back. The noticing itself is the awakening. You do not need to be flawless. You only need to be present. And the more present you are, the less you suffer from what passes through you. Because awareness does not cling, it does not chase, it simply sees, and in seeing, the Buddha often spoke of the importance of knowing the mind, of watching it as one would observe a wild animal, not to judge it, not to control it forcefully, but to understand it. When you understand the mind, it no longer tricks you, it no longer drives your life from the shadow. You begin to see patterns. You begin to see how anger arises when your pride is touched. You begin to see how fear grows when you try to control the future. And simply by seeing this, without resistance, you are already transforming. In awareness, everything softens. Even pain loses its grip, because it is seen in the light of truth, not distorted by aversion. You are no longer lost in the story. You are awake in the reality. This is the practice of calm, not through suppression, but through seeing. So in the moments when life feels too much, when anxiety tightens your chest, when judgment floods your thoughts, when you feel pulled in 100 directions, stop, close your eyes, breathe in gently, breathe out slowly, and ask, what is here now? Not what should be, not what went wrong, just what is here now, and rest in that. Let go of the fixing, let go of the judging, just witness. This witnessing is not cold, it is deeply compassionate, because in awareness, you stop fighting yourself, you allow yourself to feel, you allow the world to be, and that allowance, gentle, accepting, awake, is the beginning of true inner peace. Let this be your practice, not to control life, but to become more intimate with it, to watch it unfold moment by moment, without turning away. Let awareness be your refuge, your companion, your mirror. For in the mirror of awareness, everything is revealed, and everything is already whole. Number 2. Impermanence is not a threat. It is freedom. Everything you hold, every name you carry, every breath you take, all of it is changing. Look closely. The seasons turn, the rivers flow, the face in the mirror ages. Nothing stays, nothing remains exactly as it was. This is not a poetic observation. It is the fundamental nature of all things. The Buddha saw this clearly. He called it anicca, impermanence. And it is one of the most powerful truths of the path. For those who resist it, it becomes a source of pain, but for those who see it fully, without fear, impermanence becomes the doorway to profound peace. You suffer not because things end, but because you believed they would last forever. You cling to moments, trying to hold time in your hands like water, but it slips through your fingers, because that is its nature. The beauty you once knew fades. The people you loved move on. The body you inhabit grows old. If you fight this, your whole life becomes a battle against reality, but if you embrace it, you learn how to truly live. Impermanence is not a problem to solve. It is a truth to honor. It teaches you to love without possession, to act without delay, to see every sunrise as if it may be your last, and every goodbye as a sacred farewell, not because life is tragic, but because it is precious. When you awaken to impermanence, you stop sleepwalking through life. You stop postponing your joy. You stop numbing your pain. You begin to taste the richness of the now. You begin to weep with gratitude for things you used to overlook. Look again. The cherry blossom falls not because it is weak, but because that is its time. And in that falling, there is beauty. The flame flickers, not because it fails, but because it dances. You too are part of this great rhythm, this sacred unfolding. You were not meant to last forever. You were meant to live fully. Most of your anxiety comes from trying to make things permanent that were never meant to be. You try to make relationships last when their season is over. You try to preserve youth as if it were a possession. You try to freeze time with photos, with status, with routine. But life does not wait. It flows. And in that flow is grace. Let yourself grieve, yes. When something ends, honor the pain, but do not cling to it. Grief is not the enemy. Clinging, when you accept that all things arise and pass away, your heart begins to soften. You stop demanding that things be other than they are. This acceptance is not apathy. It is deep wisdom. It is the wisdom that sees, this is the moment. It will not come again. Let me meet it with my whole being. You begin to appreciate people not for what they give you, but for who they are in this fleeting moment. You begin to forgive more easily, realizing there may never be another chance. You begin to speak more gently, listen more deeply, walk more slowly, because you understand the present is not a stepping stone. It is the only thing that is ever real. Impermanence is the reason you can change. If things were fixed, your suffering would be eternal. But because nothing lasts, you are free to evolve. Your habits are not chains. They are patterns, and patterns can be rewritten. The anger you feel today does not define you. The fear that visited you yesterday is not your fate. Even the pain that broke you will one day soften, transform, dissolve. You are not frozen in time. You are a river, always becoming, always shedding, always new. When you meditate, you are not escaping. You are watching impermanence in action. You feel a sensation in the body. It arises, lingers, fades. A thought appears. You watch it float by. Like a cloud, an emotion swells, and then it passes. Over and over again you are reminded, this too is passing. In this, there is peace. When you truly understand impermanence, you no longer take things so personally. Someone criticizes you, it stings, and then it fades. Someone praises you, it pleases, and then it fades. You are not so easily swayed by the highs and lows. You stop building your identity on what changes. You root yourself in what watches the change. The mountain is calm not because the weather is always clear, but because it does not move. Be like that mountain. Let the winds of impermanence blow. Let the seasons turn. You remain not untouched by life, but unbroken by it. When you sit with someone you love, do not assume they will always be there. Hold them with the awareness that this moment is sacred because it will not come again. When you face a difficult season, remember, it too will pass. Just as the night gives way to dawn, your pain will shift. Nothing is forever, not even sorrow. This is the quiet liberation of impermanence. You do not need to fix everything. You do not need to make every joy last. You do not need to hold back the tide. You only need to show up, fully, tenderly, open-heartedly. And when it ends, you bow. You bow to what was. You bow to what is. You bow to what will come next. For life is not a possession, it is a blessing. And when you stop clinging, you begin to feel it deeply, fiercely, freely. Let impermanence guide your choices. Let it soften your heart. Let it remind you that now is enough. And in that remembrance, you will find the calm you have been searching for, not in permanence, but in presence. Number 3, non-attachment is strength, not indifference. In a world that teaches you to cling to people, to identities, to possessions, to outcomes, the teaching of non-attachment feels like a rebellion. But it is not a cold rejection of life. It is a profound embrace of life as it truly is. The Buddha did not ask us to stop loving. He asked us to stop grasping, to stop imprisoning what we love with the chains of expectation. Non-attachment is not the end of caring. It is the beginning of caring without fear. When you cling to something, what are you truly doing? You are trying to protect yourself. You are trying to secure joy, avoid loss, shield yourself from pain. But life cannot be frozen in place. The flower will bloom, and then it will wither. The joy will arise, and then it will pass. The one who loves you today may walk a different path tomorrow. If you base your peace on the permanence of things, then peace will always be out of reach. But when you loosen your grip, not to withdraw, not to escape, but to allow, then love becomes something greater. It becomes sacred, because it is given freely, without demand, without ownership. Imagine holding a bird in your hand. If you squeeze it, you crush it. If you let it go, it may return, or it may fly away. Non-attachment is the wisdom to open your palm and love what is there while it's there, and bless it when it's gone. Attachment says, you must make me happy. You must stay. You must behave as I expect. Love says, I honor you. I cherish this moment, and I accept whatever comes next. That is not weakness. That is strength. The strength to stand open in the face of uncertainty. The strength to love even when there is no guarantee. The strength to be free even in deep connection. Attachment feeds on fear. It whispers, without this I am nothing. And so you cling. You cling to the relationship that has faded. You cling to the image of yourself that no longer fits. You cling to the plan that no longer serves, but in doing so you suffer. Because what you cling to must eventually change or leave. When the Buddha taught about suffering, he pointed to tana, thirst, craving, grasping. He did not say love is suffering, he said clinging is suffering. When you love someone but insist they never change, never leave, never act outside your hopes, you're not loving them. You're loving your idea of them. And ideas are not alive. Let go of the idea. Meet the person. Let go of the outcome. Meet the moment. In this letting go, you do not lose intimacy. You deepen it. Because you're no longer relating to a fantasy. You are present with what is, fully, openly, vulnerably. That is real connection. That is real courage. Non-attachment is also the path to inner stability. Because when you are attached, every change becomes a threat, a shift in mood, a missed message, a failed plan. Each one shakes your ground. But when you are rooted in your own awareness, your own breath, your own being, you are less swayed by the tides. You can love without losing yourself. You can give without emptying yourself. You can grieve without collapsing. Because you are anchored in something deeper than circumstance. This does not mean you become passive. It does not mean you stop trying or stop caring. You still show up. You still offer your heart, your hands, your voice, but you do so without grasping for control. You trust that what flows through you will reach where it needs to go, even if the outcome is different from what you imagined. To be non-attached is not to be distant. It is to be fully here, without leaning forward into desire or backward into fear. It is to rest in the center of your being and to meet the world with clarity and compassion. When pain arises, you see it, feel it, allow it, but you do not wrap your identity around it. When joy arises, you celebrate it, savor it, but you do not chain your worth to it. You understand that all things are guests in the house of your awareness. Let them come, let them go. Your peace is not dependent on who stays. The lotus flower grows in muddy water, but its petals are untouched by the mud. So too, the non-attached heart lives in the world, loves in the world, gives to the world, but is not entangled by it. It remains free, radiant, unshaken. This is not a distant ideal. It is a living possibility. Each time you let go of needing things to go your way, you create space. Each time you release your grip on someone's approval, you reclaim your power. Each time you stop fighting change, you become more fluid, more resilient, more alive. Try it now. Think of something you've been clinging to, an outcome, an opinion, a relationship, a role. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I let go? What do I believe this thing gives me that I cannot find within myself? And then breathe, softly, slowly, as if you're opening a clenched fist in your heart. Allow space, allow trust. Non-attachment is not an idea, it is a practice. A moment by moment remembering, I do not own this, I do not control this, but I can meet it with presence and love. And when you live this way, life becomes more vibrant, because you're no longer trying to trap it, you are dancing with it. So love, give, act, care, but do not cling. Let your love be strong, and your grip be light. Let your heart be full, and your hands be open. Let life come, let life go, and you remain awake. Number 4. Suffering is not the enemy. Aversion is. Pain is a part of this life. No one escapes it. From the moment we are born, we are touched by discomfort. The hunger in the belly, the ache of loss, the sting of betrayal, the weight of aging. But suffering, as the Buddha revealed, is not inherent in pain itself. Suffering is what arises when we resist pain, when we say, this should not be happening, when we tighten, recoil, and try to run from what is already here. There is a powerful distinction to be made, one that changes everything. Pain is what happens. Suffering is the story we build around it. You see, when we feel pain, physical or emotional, the first impulse is to escape, to distract ourselves, to suppress it, to numb it with food, with noise, with work, with blame, with endless scrolling. But the more we push pain away, the more tightly it holds us. Like a shadow, it follows wherever we go. Because in truth, it is not chasing us. It is part of us, asking to be seen. The Buddha called this dukkha, not just suffering, but the deeper dissatisfaction of life, a restlessness, a sense that something is always slightly off. And we believe the answer is always out there. A better partner, a higher salary, a new identity. But even when we attain these things, the itch returns. Because we are not at peace with the present. We are always resisting something. What if, instead of resisting, we turned toward our pain? Not to indulge it, not to wallow in it, but to meet it with full awareness, and without fear. Imagine a child crying in the dark. If you ignore the child, their fear grows louder. But if you sit beside them, hold them gently, and say, I see you, I'm here, something softens. The same is true with your own suffering. It does not need to be exiled. It needs to be embraced. Aversion is the reflex to push away. Awareness is the courage to stay. When you sit in meditation and a wave of sorrow arises, you have a choice. You can open your eyes, move your body, check your phone, or you can stay. Breathe. Feel the sorrow as it pulses through your chest, as it tingles in your limbs, as it passes like a cloud. And if you stay, if you allow it, without judgment, without labeling it good or bad, something miraculous happens. It begins to dissolve, not because you fought it, but because you gave it space. This is the heart of the Buddha's teaching, not to avoid pain, but to understand it, not to conquer suffering with violence, but to see through it with clarity. Every experience in your life, even the painful ones, carries a teaching, but you can only receive it if you are willing to listen, and you can only listen if you stop running. Sometimes the greatest act of bravery is to sit with what hurts, not to fix it, not to escape it, just to be with it. And in that sacred presence, you remember something. You are not your pain, you are the one who sees it. You are not the storm, you are the sky in which the storm appears. This does not mean that you must passively endure injustice or harm. Compassion is not weakness. It includes wise action, but it begins by seeing clearly. And that clarity comes only when the mind is not consumed by aversion. Aversion distorts reality. It causes you to react rather than respond. It makes you lash out, shut down, turn cold. But when you drop the resistance and say, yes, this is here, you reclaim your power. You can act from a place of calm, not chaos. Let go of the idea that life should be painless. Let go of the belief that you must always be happy. Instead, trust in your own capacity to feel deeply and remain grounded. You are stronger than the discomfort you fear. You can sit with sadness. You can breathe through anxiety. You can face uncertainty without collapse. Not because the pain disappears, but because you stop adding to it with judgment, resistance, and fear. The lotus flower does not bloom despite the mud. It blooms because of the mud. So too your depth, your wisdom, your compassion are born through the very pains you once tried to avoid. Do not ask for an easy life. Ask for the clarity to meet life as it is, with open eyes and a steady heart. When someone hurts you, you can feel the pain, acknowledge the grief, and still respond with kindness. Not for their sake, but for your freedom. When you fail, you can allow the sting of disappointment and still speak to yourself with understanding. When the world shakes beneath your feet, you can cry, you can stumble, and still remain present. Presence is not the absence of pain. It is the absence of resistance to pain. The calm you seek does not lie in the removal of all suffering. It lies in the capacity to sit with suffering and not be consumed by it. To meet life with soft eyes, even when it is hard. To say, yes, this hurts, and still I remain. This is not resignation. This is liberation. You are not here to bypass life. You are here to live it. All of it. The beauty, the ache, the tenderness, the loss. You are here to feel it fully and still know peace. So the next time pain visits, do not slam the door. Do not reach for distraction. Do not turn it into an enemy. Instead, breathe, sit quietly, and say, I see you. I will not run from you. And watch, slowly, gently, as the suffering softens, because it was never asking you to fight it. It was asking you to feel it. And in that feeling, you are free. Number 5. Mindfulness is the gateway to every other virtue. In a world of endless noise, endless distraction, endless doing, to simply stop and be is a radical act. To come home to this moment, not as an idea but as a lived experience, is to return to the very heart of what the Buddha taught. Mindfulness is not a technique. It is not a tool to fix your mind. It is a way of being, a way of seeing, a way of moving through the world with clarity, with compassion, with presence. What is mindfulness? It is the simple yet profound practice of paying attention fully, intentionally, without judgment, to what is happening right now. In your body, in your mind, in the world around you. It is walking and knowing you are walking. It is breathing and knowing you are breathing. It is hearing and knowing you are hearing. It is the art of not being lost. Because most of the time, you are not where your feet are. You are chasing what just happened or worrying about what has not yet come. You are caught in mental loops of regret, of comparison, of fantasy, of fear. Your body is here, but your awareness is elsewhere. And in that gap, you suffer. Mindfulness closes the gap. When you return to the present, something shifts. You begin to feel your life again, not in your thoughts, but in your bones. You taste the tea instead of rushing through it. You look into a loved one's eyes and see them, rather than thinking about what to say next. You wash the dishes, not as a chore to escape, but as an intimate moment of warmth, water, motion. In this simplicity, peace arises, because when you are truly present, you are not judging, comparing, controlling. You are just here. And being here, really here, is enough. The Buddha said, mindfulness is the path to the deathless. Negligence is the path to death. The mindful do not die. The negligent are as if already dead. Why such strong words? Because without mindfulness we are not truly alive. We are living on autopilot, reacting, consuming, regretting, desiring, but not being. Not witnessing the miracle of this moment, which will never come again. With mindfulness, you begin to see clearly, not only the world, but yourself. You see your thoughts as they arise, and you are no longer controlled by them. You notice the tightness in your chest, and you breathe into it instead of ignoring it. You hear your own impatience, and you choose to respond with softness. Mindfulness is the pause that allows choice, the space that allows wisdom, the mirror that reflects the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. With mindfulness, you stop reacting blindly to stress, to triggers, to habits. You begin to respond consciously, wisely, from a place of stability rather than reactivity. That is the foundation of every other virtue. You cannot be truly kind if you are not mindful of another's suffering. You cannot be truly patient if you are not mindful of your own restlessness. You cannot be truly humble if you are not mindful of your ego rising. All the noble qualities, compassion, generosity, courage, serenity, grow out of this soil of awareness. Without it, even good intentions can become harmful. Even love can become possession. Even discipline can become control. But mindfulness is not about effort, it is about attention. You do not need to try harder to be mindful. You need to remember to return. That is the practice. Return, over and over again, gently, patiently, with a smile. The mind will wander. That's okay. The body will fidget. That's okay. You will forget. That's okay. Just return to the breath, to the sensation, to the stillness beneath the noise. Every time you return, you strengthen your capacity to be here, to be real, to be rooted. Mindfulness is also the great equalizer. You don't need wealth, status, education, or success to practice it. You just need a moment and the willingness to be in it. Whether you are a monk in a forest or a mother at a kitchen sink, mindfulness is available to you. And the more you live mindfully, the more your life becomes a meditation. You do not need to escape to a mountaintop to find peace. You need only bring awareness to this moment, and this one, and this one, as Thich Nhat Hanh once said. The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. There is a subtle joy in presence, not the joy of excitement, but the joy of being, the joy of noticing a bird's song, the warmth of sunlight, the rhythm of your breath, the joy of enough. Mindfulness makes the ordinary sacred, and when pain comes, as it always will, mindfulness is what allows you to hold it without being consumed, to feel it without being drowned, to say, suffering is here, and stay with it, gently, patiently, lovingly. That is not weakness, that is awakening. So do not wait for the perfect moment to begin. Begin now. Notice the breath. Notice the weight of your body on the earth. Notice the sounds around you. Notice the space between thoughts. Here you are, alive, awake. And in this awareness, all things become possible. Number 6. Vision is born not from ambition but from stillness. Most people live as if they are chasing something, a goal, a title, a dream, an image of success, handed to them by the world. They move fast. They work hard. They climb ladders. But many do all of this without ever asking the most essential question: where am I going and why? Without vision, life becomes motion without meaning, and without stillness, vision never rises. The Buddha did not speak of vision as ambition. He did not teach that we must endlessly strive for more. Instead, he offered a different kind of sight, a clarity of purpose that rises from within, not from craving, but from deep understanding. True vision is not a projection of ego. It is the expression of awakened awareness. It is not about what you want from life. It is about what life wants through you. In silence, when the mind becomes still, something remarkable happens. The noise of fear, desire, comparison, and expectation fade, and what remains is a deeper knowing, not just of what you are, but of why you are. Not just where you are going, but the path that is meant for you alone. This kind of vision is not rooted in urgency. It does not scream. It whispers. It is not a finish line. It is a direction. It is not about what you accumulate. It is about what you give, how you serve, what you awaken in others, simply by being fully yourself. The world may try to define you by your achievement, but the Buddha teaches that the truest measure of a life is not found in how high you rise, but in how deeply you see. Vision is born in the quiet hours, when you sit, when you breathe, when you ask what truly matters, and you wait for the answer to arise, not from thought, but from presence. When the mind is noisy, it will chase 1,000 paths, but when the mind is quiet, it sees the one path that was always there, beneath the clutter, beneath the fear. That path is not always glamorous. It may not come with applause, but it will be yours, and there is no greater joy than walking the path that your heart knows is true. But this vision is not static. It evolves. Just as the river bends, your path may shift. What mattered to you 10 years ago may not matter today. That is not failure. That is growth. A wise vision allows room for change, for nuance, for mystery. Clarity does not mean knowing every step. It means walking with trust. Trust in your inner knowing. Trust that each step will reveal the next. Trust that even detours carry their own teaching. In Buddhism, right vision, or samadhi, is the first of the Noble Eightfold Path. It is not merely seeing the outer world clearly. It is seeing reality as it is, impermanent, interconnected, empty of fixed self. It is seeing suffering, not as punishment, but as a doorway. It is seeing that actions have consequences, and that wisdom begins with seeing things clearly. But vision is not only perception, it is orientation. It sets the tone for how you live. If your vision is clouded by greed, then even success will taste bitter. If your vision is fueled by fear, then even safety will feel like prison. But if your vision is rooted in truth, in love, in presence, then even small acts become luminous. A conversation, a meal, a breath, each becomes part of your offering to the world. This vision does not need to be grand. It need not involve saving the world. It may be as simple as showing up with kindness, listening without interruption, holding space for another's pain, creating beauty without needing credit, living with integrity, even when no one is watching. These are not small things. These are the building blocks of a meaningful life. Do not confuse noise with purpose. Do not confuse motion with direction. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, with tenderness and sincerity, if nothing were expected of me, if I could begin again, what would I devote my life to? Let the answer come not from your mind, but from your silence. You may find that what you truly seek is not status, but peace, not applause but presence, not control but connection. This clarity, this inner compass, is what allows you to move through chaos without being consumed by it. You may lose the map, but you will never lose the way, because the way is within you. With vision, you stop reacting and start living. You stop chasing what others chase and begin honoring what calls you. You stop living for tomorrow and start giving yourself to today, not carelessly, but wholeheartedly. Vision transforms struggle. When you know why you're walking, you can endure the uphill, you can face the obstacles, you can meet the pain, not with bitterness, but with resolve. Because your steps are aligned with something greater than comfort. They are aligned with meaning. And perhaps the deepest vision of all is this: to live in a way that leaves no regret, to meet each moment with presence, to leave each encounter with kindness, to die with nothing left unsaid, unloved, unexpressed. So do not wait for lightning to strike. Do not wait for the world to validate you. Sit still, listen inward, let the vision arise, then walk it, slowly, humbly, courageously, and let every step you take become a prayer. Number 7. Purpose is not something you find, it's something you remember. In the endless search for purpose, many look outside in titles, in roles, in approval, in the architecture of success. They believe purpose is somewhere in the distance, waiting to be achieved, waiting to be earned. But the Buddha's path does not point outward. It turns inward. It invites you to remember what was never truly lost. Purpose is not a destination. It is a remembering of what is already true within you. Beneath all your striving, beneath all the layers of identity and comparison, there is something still, a seed of sacred intention. It may have been buried under years of self-doubt, or silenced by voices that told you who you should be. But it's still there, quiet and unwavering. It speaks not in demands, but in echoes. This is what you are meant for. This is who you truly are. Your purpose is not defined by what you do, but by how you show up, with presence, with truth, with love. You could be sweeping a floor or speaking to thousands. If you do it with a heart aligned to compassion, if you do it with care, with mindfulness, then you are fulfilling your purpose. In the teachings of the Buddha, purpose is inseparable from right intention, a sincere wish to live in harmony with life, to reduce suffering, not increase it, to walk the earth gently, to offer more than you take. Your purpose is not something fragile. It cannot be taken from you by failure. It is not undone by disappointment. It is not diminished when others do not see it. Purpose is what remains when you strip everything else away. The reason so many feel lost is not because they have no purpose. It's because they are chasing one that isn't theirs. They are trying to fit into a mold, to match an image, to satisfy a script. And in doing so, they disconnect from their own heart's quiet guidance. When you become still enough to listen, you begin to hear it again. That small voice, soft but certain, reminding you, you were not born to compete. You were born to connect. You were not born to accumulate. You were born to awaken. When you listen to this voice, not once, but every day, like a ritual, it becomes louder than the noise, clearer than the doubt, stronger than the fear. The Buddha never said, "Go and seek your purpose out there." He said, "Know thyself, understand suffering, cultivate compassion, walk the middle way. From this, your path will unfold, not forced, not fabricated, but arising naturally from the depth of who you are. There is a kind of joy that cannot be bought. It comes from knowing that how you are living, even in small, ordinary moments, is true to something sacred in you. You wake up in the morning and you know, I may not be famous, but I am needed. I may not be perfect, but I am sincere. I may not know the whole map, but I am walking with my heart open. That is purpose. Purpose is not constant pleasure. It is the willingness to be uncomfortable for something that matters. It's what makes you try again when you fail. Speak kindly when it's easier to be cruel. Stay soft when the world hardens around you. That's not weakness. That's the discipline of a life aligned with something deeper than ego. The world will often measure you by what you produce, but the Dharma invites you to be measured by how you live, by the love you give, the peace you cultivate, the integrity you hold, even when no one sees. Purpose is not a grand gesture. It is the sum of small choices, to stay present when it would be easier to distract, to tell the truth when it would be easier to please, to offer kindness when you feel empty yourself. Every action can be sacred if it flows from your inner alignment. There is no moment too ordinary, no task too humble to be a vehicle of awakening. Planting a seed, holding a hand, listening without interrupting, breathing with intention. These are not distractions from your purpose. They are the path. Even your pain is part of it. Sometimes, what breaks you also breaks you open. The illness, the loss, the betrayal, they are not detours. They are invitations to deepen, to awaken, to remember that your life is not about perfection, but about presence. Ask yourself, what is it I cannot not do? What truth do I keep returning to, even after I've tried to forget it? What breaks my heart and also sets it on fire? These are clues, sacred breadcrumbs, leading you home. You do not need a plan as much as you need a willingness to listen, to feel, to let life move through you in unexpected ways. Purpose is not a task you master. It is a song you keep singing, even when your voice trembles. So let yourself be moved. Let yourself be guided, not by pressure, but by prayer. And if today you feel far from your purpose, begin simply. Be present, be kind, be true. This is enough. It will always lead you back. You do not need to chase your purpose. You only need to stop running from it. But number 8. Discipline is not punishment, it is devotion. Many recoil at the word discipline, associating it with rigidity, suppression, or harsh control. But in the teachings of the Buddha, discipline is not about punishment. It is not a set of rules forced upon you by some external authority. It is a sacred act of devotion to your own awakening, to your peace, to your freedom. True discipline is born not from fear, but from love. It is the love that says, I will not betray myself for temporary comfort. It is the love that wakes you before dawn to sit in silence, not because someone told you to, but because you know there is something precious waiting in the quiet. It is the strength that helps you pause before reacting, breathe before speaking, and choose again with awareness, with care, with alignment. Without discipline, even the most beautiful insights fade. Even the highest intentions collapse. Without discipline, you may have moments of clarity, but not the stability to live from that clarity. The Buddha's path is simple, but it is not easy. To observe your thoughts without judgment, to feel pain without fleeing, to choose kindness when anger rises, to renounce what numbs you. These are not passive tasks. They require effort, not the effort of forcing, but the effort of remembering. Discipline is the structure that allows freedom to flourish. A river without banks becomes a flood. But with steady edges, it can carve valleys, turn turbines, nurture love. So too, your mind, when gently guided by discipline, becomes a force of wisdom and compassion rather than chaos. The monastic code of conduct in Buddhism is not a prison. It is a practice of refinement. Each precept is not a rule to obey blindly, but an invitation to see clearly what happens when I speak with honesty. What happens when I refrain from harming? What happens when I simplify my needs? And even if you are not a monk or a nun, the principle still holds. You do not need robes to live with discipline. You need remembrance. You need reverence. Discipline is saying no to the things that pull you away from your center. Not because you hate them, but because you love your peace more. It is choosing silence over noise, simplicity over excess, patience over impulse. And yes, you will stumble, you will forget. There will be days when the mind runs wild, when anger wins, when desire pulls. But discipline does not demand perfection. It asks only that you return. Each time you return, you deepen your roots. Discipline is like tending a fire. You don't need to burn with intensity all the time, but you must keep feeding the flame, steadily, mindfully, with small acts of devotion. A few minutes of meditation, a breath before a difficult conversation, a pause to notice the sky. These may seem insignificant, but they shape you. You become the way you practice. The more you bow to the present, the more your life becomes a gesture of reverence. The Buddha once said, "Little by little, a person becomes good, as a water pot is filled, drop by drop." So don't wait for grand transformation. Practice, drop by drop, one kind word instead of judgment, one conscious meal instead of mindless consumption, one moment of forgiveness for yourself or another. This is discipline. It is not punishment. It is path. And the more you walk it, the more you realize discipline is not something you impose. It is something you discover. It is what your soul chooses when it remembers its purpose. Some days, discipline will feel like effort. Other days, it will feel like grace. But both are part of the journey. On days of effort, you train your capacity to stay. On days of grace, you taste the fruit of your consistency. There is a quiet dignity in those who live with discipline, not because they are flawless, but because they are faithful. Faithful to their practice, faithful to their value, faithful to the truth that peace is not an accident. It is cultivated. When you see a calm person, do not assume life has spared them hardship. Assume instead that they have chosen discipline, again and again, in moments when it would have been easier to abandon themselves. In a distracted world, discipline is an act of rebellion. In a reactive world, discipline is an act of compassion. In a wounded world, discipline is an act of healing. So bow to your breath, bow to your practice, bow to the silent vow you make each day. I will return. I will show up. I will stay awake. Let your discipline be gentle, but unwavering. Let it be rooted not in harshness, but in care. Let it be a reminder, not of what you must do, but of what you are becoming. A person of presence, a vessel of peace, a living flame of clarity. Number 9. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is a way of seeing. To most people, gratitude is something that arises only when life goes well, when the sun shines, when the path is smooth, when what we desire comes to us. But the Buddha's teaching invites us to look deeper, to see that true gratitude is not dependent on external events. It is not something you feel because things are good. It is something you bring to life, no matter what. Gratitude is not a fleeting emotion. It is a way of perceiving, a sacred lens through which everything becomes meaningful, even the moments that seem undeserved, even the seasons of difficulty. It is easy to be grateful when you are praised, when you are loved, when life gives you what you want. But can you be grateful for the silence too? For the delays, the detours, the quiet lessons that come wrapped in discomfort? The Buddha taught that everything that arises in our life, joy, sorrow, gain, loss, has the potential to awaken us. And once you truly see this, once you stop labeling some experiences as worthy of gratitude and others as not, then your heart begins to soften. Then you begin to see beauty not just in the bloom, but in the falling of petals. Gratitude in its highest form is not saying, "I am thankful because this makes me happy." It is saying, "I am thankful because this is here, and I am willing to learn from it." That shift changes everything. Suddenly, the person who challenges you becomes a mirror, showing you where you still cling to pride or impatience. Suddenly, the failure becomes a doorway, reminding you that your worth was never tied to success. Suddenly, the moment that breaks your heart becomes sacred, because it opens you to deeper compassion. Gratitude is what makes the ordinary holy. It is what allows you to look at your hands and marvel at all they have done for you. To feel your breath and realize this alone is enough. To walk through a quiet morning and whisper thank you, not to anyone in particular, but to the life that pulses through every leaf, every step, every cloud. And yet, this is not always easy. There will be days when gratitude feels far away, days when your body aches, when your heart is tired, when your mind is heavy. On these days, gratitude is not about forcing yourself to smile. It is about leaning into awareness. It is about asking gently, what is still here, beneath the pain? What has not left me? What can I still touch, still feel, still honor? Sometimes the answer will be small. A cup of warm tea, the sound of birds, a friend's presence, your own breath. These are not trivial things. These are anchors. The Buddha often reminded his followers to reflect daily on the blessings of life, that we are born human, capable of understanding the Dharma, that we are still breathing, still able to practice, still able to choose. When we remember these truths, even amidst sorrow, a subtle joy begins to return. Not the joy of excitement, but the joy of presence. The joy of knowing that this moment is enough. You do not need more to be grateful. You need less forgetting. Gratitude is remembrance of what matters, of what sustains you, of what never needed to be earned in the first place. It does not mean you pretend everything is perfect. It means you stop waiting for perfect conditions before opening your heart. And when you live this way, with gratitude as a steady gaze rather than a passing mood, you become different, not because your life becomes easier, but because you become more alive within it. The one who practices gratitude daily walks through life with open eyes. They see gifts where others see problems. They see opportunities to serve where others see inconvenience. They see miracles, not in rare moments, but in each breath, and they suffer less. Not because life spares them, but because they resist it less. They no longer need to control every outcome to feel peace. They no longer need to possess what they love to appreciate it. This is true wealth, not the wealth of accumulation, but the wealth of appreciation. The world tries to tell you that you will be grateful once you are successful, once you are admired, once you are safe. But the Dharma teaches you will be successful when you are grateful. You will be at peace when you stop postponing your joy. Start now. Look around, not with the eyes of lack, but with the eyes of wonder. What do you have right now that someone else is praying for? What is within you that you have not yet honored? What moment is passing through your life that deserves your full attention before it's gone? Gratitude is not an item on a checklist. It is a way of relating to everything. It is how you greet the day, how you walk into a room, how you listen to someone's pain, how you wash your dishes. It is how you close your eyes at night, not with regret, but with reverence. Let this be your prayer, not just in words but in action. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this lesson. Thank you for this life just as it is. And as you live this way, with humility, with presence, with gratitude, you will discover a secret. You do not need to have more to feel full. You only need to see more, and what you see with the eyes of gratitude becomes sacred. Number 10. Resilience is not resistance. It is the art of returning. Life will break you. Not once, many times. It will shatter your plans. It will disappoint your expectations. It will take away what you thought was yours to keep. and it will do so not because it is cruel, but because this is the nature of all things that arise. They also fall away. And yet, the Buddha did not teach us to collapse. He did not ask us to surrender to despair. He invited us instead to discover something deeper than hope, stronger than willpower, quieter than effort: resilience. But what is true resilience? It is not rigid strength. It is not clenching your teeth and pretending to be unaffected. It is not masking your sorrow with forced optimism. Resilience is softer, more honest. It is the willingness to fall and return. It is the strength to bend, but not break. It is the grace to begin again, not from the same place, but from a wiser one. In the Dharma, resilience is not born from resistance. It is born from acceptance, from being in full contact with life as it is, even when it is painful, even when it is messy, and choosing to stay present. Resilience says, yes, this is hard. Yes, I am hurting, but I will stay awake. I will breathe. I will not abandon myself. That staying, that gentle refusal to numb, to run, to disconnect, is the path. Like a tree that sways in the storm but remains rooted in the earth, you can allow the winds of life to move through you without losing your ground. And your ground is awareness. Your ground is the breath. Your ground is the inner knowing that no matter what happens to you, something sacred remains within you. The Buddha taught, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional clarity, a deep steadiness that comes not from suppressing your feelings, but from being intimate with them. You learn, over time, that pain does not kill you, that endings do not end you, that even in the most difficult moments, there is something in you that does not disappear, something that watches, breathes, witnesses. That something is not fragile. It is your true refuge. To live with resilience is to trust in your capacity to heal, to feel shattered, and yet know that you will eventually pick up the pieces. To lose someone you love and still open your heart again, not because you forget, but because love is your nature. To be afraid and still step forward. To be doubted and still speak your truth. To fall short and still return to the path. This is the power of the human spirit. Not perfect, but persistence. Not certainty, but sincerity. Resilience is not linear. Healing is not a straight line. Some days you will rise like the sun, steady, bright, clear. Other days you will stumble through fog, unsure of your footing. This is not failure. This is the rhythm of being alive. Do not mistake the pauses for weakness. Often the quietest moments are the ones that grow your roots. It is in the stillness after the storm that you realize you are still here, breathing, watching, learning, and perhaps more compassionate than before. Because resilience also means not hardening. It means letting life soften you in the right places. To break open, not just break down. To cry without shame. To ask for help without guilt. To hold your pain and still be kind. To yourself, to others, to the world. That is strength. The kind that no one sees but everyone feels. In the Buddhist tradition, there is the image of the Bodhisattva, one who walks through the fires of suffering not to escape the world, but to return to it with compassion. The Bodhisattva is not untouched by sorrow, but they are not consumed by it either. They rise, again and again, not because they are unbroken, but because they understand. Being broken is part of the path. So too can you rise from grief, from failure, from fear, not with denial, but with dignity, not to prove anything, but to honor the truth. You are not what happened to you. You are how you meet what happens. Let that be your vow, that no matter how many times life pulls you down, you will return, softer, slower, but still whole. Let every fall be a reminder that the ground is still beneath you. Let every wound become a doorway to deeper empathy. Let every moment of despair become a bridge to those who have walked that same darkness and need your light. This is resilience, not just as endurance, but as transformation, not just surviving, but turning your pain into wisdom. And so when you are lost, come back. When you are tired, come back. When the world goes dark, return to your breath and come back. This is not weakness. This is the strongest thing you will ever do. And now you have walked with me 10 steps, 10 truths, 10 silent invitation, not as commandments, not as demands, but as doors, each one opened with breath, each one held in awareness, each one pointing not to something new, but something ancient inside you. May these principles not just be heard, but live. May you return to them again and again, when the winds rise, when the path fades, when the heart forgets, because you will forget, and you will remember, and you will forget again. But now you know, calm is not something you find, it is something you practice, something you become, not despite the chaos, but within it. And that is the way of awakening, the way of the Buddha, the way of returning home, to the place within you that never left.